Hi, everybody. Welcome to this month's Urban and Community Forestry Society's learning series. Really happy to have you here today. I'm going to jump right in so we can get started and hear from our awesome speakers. So here I'm going to go. I've got our slides shared right now. Again, I'm Leslie Burkus. I am the Executive Director of the Urban and Community Forestry Society. We're going to start and first thank our sponsors. It's because of Bartlett Tree Experts that we're able to bring you this learning series, our exclusive learning series partner. And we thank all of our sponsors, including Davey, Asplin, Bartlett, Eocene, and Dudek. With their support, again, we're able to help support our members and friends. And with that, we really also thank our members. If you are a member of the Urban and Community Forestry Society, we thank you. We are here to help support you, to help bring you together. It's better with your friends, so you should be part of the society and this membership community. And if you're not, we hope that you'll join us soon because, again, you're able to network and meet others who are doing similar work to you, and it helps you grow, helps you do your job to the greatest extent you can. So please join us when you can. We're doing a brief introduction of UCFS right now, and then we're going to hear from Luana Vargas, Director of Credentialing with the International Society of Arboriculture, and Luke Killerin with the City of Denver. And just a quick aside, Denver, Colorado is the Mile High city, but I am from Denver, Iowa, the Mile Wide city. So I just felt like I needed to point that out so the Denvers can talk to each other here today. And Luana and Lou are going to talk about why we would pursue credentials and why it's important within our cities and for ourselves. Which ones that you might want to pursue first? There's a lot out there. You might think I've already attained credential, certified arborist, or one of the other ones, and why would I want to do more? Luana is going to help us think through that, why that might be important to your career development. And then also thinking about how you guide your own decisions for where you're going to get credentialing. But if you are a city forester like Luke, how are you supporting your staff to get credentials? How are you making sure that your team has everything that they might need? And maybe you're filling gaps in one area. Again, creating that team as a whole. So we'll talk that through. And then when we get to the end, we will put the link for the CEU form here, and we will submit those on your behalf. UCFS is working every day to help support you. And one of the things that all these learning series are doing is helping tie back to UCFS's accreditation standards, which I'll talk about here at the end. And this one in particular supports Standard 1. And then we're always helping to make sure that we support ISA Certified Urban Forest Professional. Luana is going to be talking about that. Every one of our learning series ties back to one of those domains. And since we're talking about the whole thing today, we're supporting all the domains of Certified Urban Forest Professional today. It looks like people are already dropping their name and where they're from in the chat. It's great to see where people are joining us from across the globe, so keep that up. Great to see you here. This webinar is being recorded, and we will post that afterwards. See, approved for 1CU. We'll submit that on your behalf, and then we'll have questions at the end. If you're new here, welcome again to the Urban and Community Forestry Society. This is where professionals come together, those people who are making supporting daily tree care decisions. And we are here to help support you, our members. And then we're also here to help speak on behalf of the entire profession. Why should people care about urban forestry? Why should they care about the people doing that work? And why is it important? That's our job. And we help do that work through our City Trees publication, our mentorship program, our annual conference, Municipal Forestry Institute, many different things that we help support you, the urban forester, and then the people doing the profession on the whole. Just a couple of quick announcements. If you haven't already signed up for the annual conference, we really hope that we'll see you there. We'll be in St. Louis, Missouri, November 16th to 17th. So this is where all the tree nerds get together and talk about how we do our tree work every single day. Luana might mention that next month in August is the International Societies of Arboriculture's Conference in Detroit, Michigan. So two great opportunities to get out there and join your tree friends. Coming up on August 3rd, the Municipal Forestry Institute applications were open. So Luke is a recent graduate. Luana, I believe, is also a graduate of MFI. So this is where we talk about how you become a leader within urban forestry. Not proper arboriculture, not pest and diseases. Those are things that we know you're getting in other areas. This is how we grow within our leadership and really set aside that time to think strategically. So if you haven't been to MFI, really encourage you to find out more, and applications will open up on August 3rd. Coming up, here's more educational offerings for you. Starting in August, a three-part wildfire series sponsored by Dudek. And this is going to go beyond just folks that live in the West Coast. We know we're seeing more fires in the Southeast, the East Coast, and Midwest are even taking this into consideration. So this will be for everyone to be thinking about what kind of fire risk might be coming their way. We'll be talking about sidewalks. Our favorite topic is tree people in September, so tune into that one. Trees and insurance with TCIA. We know that people are hearing more about insurance companies making decisions about trees, and we want to be aware of that. So that's in October. And then finally, our Career Compass series, really targeted at young and emerging professionals who are making their way in this field. We'll have another webinar with them in October. So before I switch into credentialing, again, I just want, or credentialing and accreditation, I just want to thank our members. We appreciate you. That's why we do this job every single day. So thank you for being part of the society. If you're not, we really hope that you'll join us soon. And before I kick this over to Luana, I just have a few more minutes and this idea of accreditation. There's two words here. Luana's going to talk about credentialing, which often means yourself getting credentialed. Accreditation means accrediting a program. You might think of this as hospitals getting accredited, nursing programs. In this case, we're talking about cities getting accredited for the awesome work that they're doing. So UCFS has had an accreditation program for many years. In this past 2+ years, we've completely revamped it. And this was to help set the standards for urban forestry. And our goals, again, is to set the standards of practice. What does it mean to have a high functioning, high quality urban forestry program within a city? We have established those standards across 4 different areas, and I'll show those in a second. It'll provide avenues for education and professional development. That's kind of what this whole webinar is about. How do we grow as a profession? By growing ourselves and growing our programs. UCFS accreditation provides an independent source of information, more than Luke saying, hey, Denver's got an awesome tree program. He become accredited and have UCFS say, we know Luke has an awesome tree program because we ran them through the gamut. We made sure they met all of our standards. It provides some more credentials and backing to that program. And so it might be something that you would be interested in as well. It can provide a roadmap for you. So maybe you're not quite there yet and you're wondering, how do I push my city council? How do I push my public works director to take on more of these things? That is what this program is for, or could be an option to say, hey, we're not quite there yet, but now I've got some standards that I can measure myself against. And then we want to advocate for members in the profession. You're doing awesome work. You might feel sometimes like you are falling down the list of priorities in a city. This is a way for us to advocate and say this is an important piece of infrastructure, and we know it is, and we have standards that tell you that they're important pieces of infrastructure. So it's a way to advocate for the profession. Again, this falls into 4 different areas in urban forest leadership, and that's what this whole webinar is focused on. So how do we make sure that the people making these tree care decisions have the highest credentialing, the highest knowledge? That's what we're focused on in Standard 1. Standard 2 is urban forest governance and planning. How do we put the rules in place? How do we have strategic plans for how our communities are going to grow and how the tree canopy is going to grow? So that might include tree ordinances, urban forest strategic plans, and data management systems. Standard 3 is urban forest management. And so that's how do we do the work after we've put the plan in place. And then finally, Standard 4 is community engagement. So with that, I'm going to stop sharing. Or Carla, did my screen stop sharing while we were going? Or is it still up?
No, you're still up.
Okay, my screen changed. Apologies for that. So that's the 4 standards. And with that, I'm going to kick this over to Luana, who's going to talk about credentialing. And one quick thing, we built all of the domains, everything from certified urban forest professional into our standards with the thought that if I am credentialed and I know how to do the work really well, I'm going to build that into my program. And my program's really well, and so that helps reinforce the work that I do as a professional. So it really should build on itself and kind of be like a gear model where they're turning one another. So with that, Luana, are you ready? Did we lose Luana?
back. Sorry about the
Okay.
interruption here. Yes, I'm back. Hopefully it wasn't too bad.
Yeah.
Is it my turn? Sorry, Leslie. I missed where we
It's
stopped there. Sorry.
it's your turn. We're ready for you
All
to share your
right.
screen and
Thank
jump in.
you. Yes, yes. Thank you. And sorry for the um, Teams kicked me out for whatever reason. So I had to come back. Well, thanks everybody for being here. Are you seeing my screen, Leslie? You know what
Yes.
I wanted to show. So
Yes, we see it.
perfect. Perfect. Well, thank you for being here. I have quite a bit of interactivity for you guys, so hopefully you can be there and participate with me. If you have a smartphone, that's going to be the way. Smartphone with a camera. I have lots of QR codes, and I want to hear and have us interact with each other. So, but before I start, I want to share a little bit with you of why do I care? Why am I here? Did I chose this career path? I've been in arboriculture now and navigating both arboriculture as an arborist. I'm an ISA board certified master arborist, but also talent development. So navigating these two sides of the career where I really found my niche, because I love trees. I want people to have access to trees in urban spaces. And so, I grew up around trees. I grew up in a city in Brazil, Brasilia, that has an amazing urban forest program. And because the city was planned from the beginning in the 60s, the population there really has good access to parks, to urban trees, large mature trees. So that's something I wanted to be part of and join ISA, to be part of that in a global scale. So, I joke that what I like to do is grow arborists because they go out there and they take care of trees and they plant more trees so we can have this asset for people in urban environments. So, but now I want to learn why do you care? Why are you here today? Um, and if you hopefully use the QR code, I'm just going to give a second. You should be able to get to a survey that has some of the options for you to tell us why you're here today in this session. And I can see some of you already responding. Hopefully you're seeing the survey now so you can see some of the responses. Hey, it's okay if you say, hey, I'm here for the CUs. You're maintaining your professional development. There's no shame in that. Yeah, so that's great to see. I can see professional development rising to the top. That's great. Excellent. Well, thank you so much for participating. For me, it is important to know why you're here. So, perhaps I can tailor this program better for your motivations. So thank you. Thank you for engaging and letting me know. That's excellent. All right. So let's go back and now um, we're going to talk about specifically on credentialing and looking broadly on credentialing itself and what does it mean. So, um, a credential itself is something that it's a program, is a qualification, is a license. But the bottom line is it gives you credibility in that field of work for that credential. And some of the value that we've seen that our credential holders have reported to us is, learning a skill or specialty, gaining confidence, becoming more competitive in the work in their field and among their peers. And also on that side of continued competence, right? So now you gain the credential. It's not something unlike a degree, it's something that you have to, so it's a way for these professionals to maintain their continued competence. And what we also heard that it serves as a passport, right? So the credential you can carry with you along the way, and from employer to employer. It's that passport that gives you credibility across geographical spaces and across multiple employers. So I have another question for you if you pull on the QR code. And if you're ready, the question is, if in one word, what does professional credibility mean to you? And this QR code should be able to get you there too, not just the previous one. Yeah, I see you guys are typing. Awesome. That's great. I see the word trust getting really big there. That's awesome. That's again something we've seen in other spaces as I get to talk to professionals in my shoes that oversee programs in other professions, in the medical profession, not just that in pharmaceuticals. Like we see trust, especially with the rise of AI, trust is becoming more and more important across professions I've seen. So that, yeah, I'm not surprised, and it's nice to see that in parallel as we're seeing in other places. Trusted, expertise, excellent. Legitimate, compliance. I see compliance there. That's definitely true. In some cases, um, you have to show credibility to maintain compliance, and credentials help you do that. Accountable. Excellent. Well, that's great. Thank you again for participating. And the bottom line is what credentials do is they demonstrate competence, they help a professional build credibility, and again, they support professional growth. And ISA, this is an integral part of our mission. When you look at our mission and we see that, promote the professional practice of arboriculture, that's exactly that. And what we do in credentialing is developing these credentials so that we help professionals validate their competence and provide a recognizable standard across the industry and across geographical boundaries. That's really our goal, and what I do and the whole team within credentialing. So I'm going to go back to our presentation. And now we're going to talk specifically ISA credentials. And you can see we have different types of credentials here. That's why I like to show this in a graphical way. We have what we call certification. So for example, ISA Certified Arborist is a certification. And we have qualifications, and they are a little bit different. A certification, the goal of it is to measure a body of knowledge that by definition and per standards that ISA follows, and I have here, we are accredited for following ISO standards. This is an accreditation that's very hard to earn and it's very hard to keep. We are audited to maintain that. We're audited twice every year for fairness and impartiality and reliability of our programs. And per standard, certifications cannot be tied to any one specific preparation program. So sometimes I get a lot of questions that somebody wants to come and say, hey, Luana, what is the best prep course I can attend? In my role, I cannot tell you because we need to become separate of any kind of preparation for our programs. What we give in certifications is a bar. If you think of the exam, that's a bar and the passing score. And, professional needs to cross that bar regardless of the preparation mechanism, regardless of the training. They need to become eligible, and they need to display the knowledge and skills sufficient to cross that bar, which that bar is created by subject matter experts in the field, by everyone. If you have already participated in one of our validation surveys, every time we do a job task analysis, we send a validation survey out there to practitioners, so you may have responded to one. And so that bar is really given by the industry to us. And then when you earn a certification, that means you've crossed that minimum threshold of knowledge and experience. As opposed to a qualification, so for those of you that have heard about our ISA Tree Risk Assessment Qualification Program, not only that has a training associated with it, it has a very specific training that is associated with it that you must take the training to even have access to the examination. So you cannot take the exam without having that specific training. And the exam, you might say, did you teach to the exam? Absolutely. In a qualification, you assess the learning that was gained through that very specific training that they conducted. So TRAC has a training, and it has two assessments of that training. One is a written assessment, and one is a performance-based assessment. And you can see the numbers here. So we have about 48,000 certifications held. So that it's not necessarily credential holders. One credential holder might hold multiple certifications. So this is the number of certifications held. This is the number, though, of certified arborists. So you can see clearly that that's our largest program. It's our oldest program. It's our broadest program when you think of like concepts, and we're going to go into it in just a little bit. And we have 15,000 ISA TRAC credential holders. So let's go into the actual credentials for a minute. And the broadest one, again, the one that we have most credential holders is the ISA Certified Arborist credential. Is our oldest credential too. This program has been in place for over 30 years now. It's what we call in the credentialing industry a fairly mature program. What you see on the screen is our eligibility for the program. So, not everybody that wants to take the exam can take the exam. They must first show their eligibility for the program. And we also have specialized programs, is what we call. So in these specialized programs, we have both certifications and qualifications, as we described. We have one that it's very specific to tree climbing, and we have both a written exam and a skills, a performance-based exam for this program. We have the ISA Certified Urban Forest Professional, used to be called Municipal Specialist, and a little over a year ago, that program had a major reassessment from the Credentialing Council, and the law has changed on the eligibility. We're going to talk a little bit more about this, and I'm happy to answer any questions if there are specifically about that program. But not only we rebranded and changed the name, but the very core of that program in terms of eligibility and what's within the exam, there was a big assessment in where we looked at it to really make that program consistent with what employers were looking for and what the public needed of professionals with that credential. And we also have another specialty that it's the ISA Certified Arborist Utility Specialist Program. And like I mentioned, the ISA, one of our qualifications is the ISA Tree Risk Assessment Qualification. Again, I put it on the bottom here. It is different than a certification. All the ones on the top, again, we're measuring that body of knowledge. This one, we actually have specific training and then the assessment of that training. And last but not least, this is our most advanced program, is the ISA Board Certified Master Arborist Credential. And it's the one when we think of in terms of eligibility, it's the highest level of experience that we're going to require. We do require somebody to be an ISA Certified Arborist in order to earn this credential and take the exam. And on top of that, either years of experience or other credentials as a means to show that experience. There are many pathways, so I'm not going to it would be impossible for me to even talk about all the pathways, but the bottom line is you have to accumulate certain points, and the point earn 8 points, and then you're eligible for the program. And if you'd like to learn more about that program, again, the program guide is going to be the best place to find out. So I have a little bit of a quiz for you, I would say. You get somebody who does instructional design, and it's hardly ever that you're not going to get a quiz or homework. So we're going to jump on this quiz. This is this QR code here. So let's go there. So let's see. Hopefully you're being able to join the quiz now. I have a little bit of scenarios for you all. And you'll be able to tell, I can see folks joining now. You'll be able to see a scenario, hopefully. And now that you know a little bit more about ISA credentials, depending on the scenario, tell which credential is better for that specific scenario or individual. Ooh, all right. So I see lots of folks joining in. Great. So I'm going to go ahead and jump on to the first question. And this is our scenario. Gabe has worked for a tree company for 4 years. One of his main responsibilities is meeting with existing and potential clients to evaluate their tree and shrub care needs. Which ISA credential do you think is best for him? All right, so I can see that most of you answered ISA certified arborist. I would agree with that. Again, there is no one certification, but I would say for this scenario that we described here, the best fit, without knowing anything else, I would say would be the certified arborist. You can see the person has 4 years. That means they cross eligibility, even if they don't have any kind of educational background. That already crosses the eligibility experience requirements. So yes, good job. And for those of you that said board certified master arborists, that might be the case, but I didn't say here that they are an ISA certified arborist. So that is a requirement for the BCMA credential. So if they don't have that credential yet, the next step would be certified arborist. And again, tree risk assessment track credential is not really wrong, because perhaps when you're evaluating their needs, risk assessment is one of their needs. So it's not technically, that's not wrong. But again, I would say the best fit here would be certified arborist if we don't know anything else about this situation. Yes. So let's go to the next one. All right. So you can see the leaderboard. Congrats, Eric. All right, so here's our next scenario. Emily manages, actually, I'm gonna let you read because you actually read quicker than I do, so that might help you get to the top and answer the right question. All right, so for those of you, a great majority answered ISA certified urban forest professional. This used to be called a municipal specialist. And that's correct. I would say that would be the best fit in this scenario. Again, somebody could argue track, and I wouldn't necessarily disagree with that. We don't know if they have certified arborists. That could also be a fit. So again, that's not necessarily a wrong answer here. I think that could also fit. But you see that they don't have any ISA credentials yet, but has a degree in urban planning. That would, although we don't know how many years specifically here, but a degree in urban planning plus experience in managing trees, as it says here that they already have, that would, if you have at least 1 year of experience and have that urban forest formal education and that degree, that would qualify. So if family has at least 1 year of experience, she would be eligible for the ISA Certified Urban Forest professional program, and that's probably, given the scenario here, the best fit for her. So yeah, okay. So let's jump to the next question, and then we're going to show the leaderboard. So the next scenario is on the screen. All right, and I can see the majority of folks pick the ISA tree risk assessment qualification, and I would agree with that. You can see that they are already an ISA certified arborist, which means they are eligible for track. And they do tree risk assessment regularly and write reports. So these are important. So I do think if they want to show competency, that's one of the best fits, would be ISA tree risk assessment qualification. Again, ISA board certified master arborist, not the wrong answer. In fact, tree risk assessment is part of the curriculum that we assess in the ISA BCMA credential. So not a wrong assessment in any way. In fact, this person is an ISA certified arborist, which means they are eligible. What we don't know here is how many years of experience and if they have other credentials. So we don't know if they're eligible for the BCMA program. So that might be a question mark. This is, again, it's also not a bad choice because they are leading with trees, perhaps, if they're writing reports. If it's for a property that has multiple and they're looking at trees and trying to prioritize risk within a community of trees, this is also not a bad choice. But, I would say for those of you that pick tree risk assessment, it's the clearest choice of our quiz. So let's show. Taylor, congratulations. And thank you all for participating. I really appreciate the interactivity here. And hope you enjoyed as well. And the goal is, we talk about these programs, but how do we apply for our situation? So that's the exercise we wanted to do here. I'm going to go back to the presentation. And what I have next for you to think about is how can you get the experience or the credential. So let's look at your next step in professional development. I know many of you from the first interactivity I have, professional development is what rose to the top. So I know you're looking for that. And that's something very personal to you. So that's why if you look at the QR code that I have on the screen, what you're going to get is what I call a professional development worksheet, that it's yours, it's for you. You don't have to, you can, but you don't have to show your employer. But I want you to think, because a lot of people come to me and they say, Luana, here's where I am. Where should I go? So this is, if you look for the QR code, this is what you should have been able to see. If not, I'm gonna talk a little bit about, but I will go back to the QR code. So if you are not here yet, you can try again with the QR code. But this is really a career roadmap for you. if you are in this session because you're thinking about working with another professional, somebody on your team, please, that's why I made this a downloadable resource for you. Download, have a conversation with them. If you're a mentor for somebody, if you supervise somebody and you think this is the next, that they should be thinking about the next step in their career, this can help you start that conversation. But again, it is very personal to you, like to have that kind of assessment, where you are right now and where do you want to go. So that's the first part, is exactly that. What do you do right now and where do you want to go? And you have to think of like, what responsibilities do I want to acquire depending on where you want to go? What experience and what credentials am I going to get to achieve there? So hopefully this is going to be a resource for you. I will go back to the QR code. And you can have access. And again, hopefully that's something you can print, and really at a time that you can make that reflection and assessment, look for the best credential for you. Credentials are really, they're not just exams, they're really evidence of professional competence. And not only that, it's really a commitment to excellence. All of ISA's credentials, these are not licenses, they're not required, they're voluntary credentials. So it really shows the public and it shows employers the commitment of those who went to get those credentials, the commitment that they have to the profession and their professional development. So it really differentiates them, I would say, as a professional. And then when people ask, what's the best credential for me? It's really the one that aligns with the experience that you have now and where do you want to go. So when we think of what's the best credential, it's really looking at now and looking at where do you want to go as a professional in the future. And I would say, so, developing that action plan is understanding the requirements of the credentials. Once you figure out, okay, this is where I want to go, or this is the credential, understand the requirements for that, make a plan, and then take the next step. Like, right, you can put, I do that to myself on my go. You can put reminders, when am I going to reassess that plan and see where I am? Because really the best advocate for your professional development is you. You might have a great mentor, and that's awesome. I'm not saying that's great. Everybody should have, and but you shouldn't rely on external factors to define your career journey. You should be the one defining it and taking it to the next level. So that's what I had for you all. Thank you so much. And I'll send the mic back to you, Leslie.
Thanks, Luana. And I'm actually going to just turn it right over to Luke. You ready to share your screen?
Yeah, thank you, Leslie. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
All right. Good morning, and thank you to everyone for having me here today. At least it's morning here in Colorado. Thank you, Leslie, for the invite. Stoked to see you again, and stoked to see so many people from across the globe today. I checked out the list. I don't know most of you, but I think Emma from Idaho, I think we've definitely crossed paths. So good to see you, Emma, from GCLI. But today I want to share with you guys all how I support my staff in credentialing, especially the certified urban forest professional, and why investing in yourself is one of the most valuable things you can do. Awesome. Hi, Emma. So why do credentials matter? We've already heard from Leslie and Luana, and now I'm just realizing that we all have names that begin with the letter L. So that's awesome and funny, but a coincidence. So if you missed any of their messages, you're late to this webinar, I'm sure I'm going to repeat some of them, and apologies in advance for any duplicates. I was very impressed with Luana's Slido to learn that most people here are here for professional development, and even a few of you guys are new career seekers. So that's great. Welcome to everyone here. Credentials open personal and professional doors, advancement, new responsibilities, and clarity in your career path. Mine included, and I'll get into that later. They signal that you understand industry standards like Leslie mentioned. Continue learning and hold yourself accountable to a professional code of ethics. I don't have a screen to share yet. I'll get to that, but thank you for the question. Remember, as certified arborists, we all signed a code of ethics. Credentials show initiative, curiosity, and dedication. qualities that help you stand out. Credentials help reduce burnout by building confidence in one's abilities. And remember, credentials come in many forms. Webinars like this one today, conferences, expos, books, and online platforms. And most recently, some of the new study groups through the UCFS for their Certified Urban Forest Professional, which several of my staff recently participated in. Shout out Leslie, thank you for that. And I want to pause real briefly just to reinforce that credentials do not replace experience; they only enhance it. Okay. Some of the strongest arborists I know combine field experience with education, certification, professional relationships, and lifelong learning. So next, I want to share a little bit about my personal path in urban forestry. I want to be clear that you don't need to know where your career will end up. You just need to be willing to learn. I had no clue I was going to be living in Colorado and leading the largest urban forestry program in the entire state when I started my urban forestry career. I started my career probably like some of you in this room as groundies in operations. I started with the city of Madison, Wisconsin, my hometown. I worked for the forestry department there, dragging brush, running ropes, driving tandems, and observing every role around me. And that was really critical for me. Then I moved into an inspector's assistant role, and I saw the regulatory side of forestry, open up my eyes to a new perspective. From there, I was a climbing arborist, a lead arborist, a forestry supervisor, and then eventually city forester. Where I'm going with this is each credential became a milestone for me, and that helped prepare me for the next opportunity. I didn't know when these opportunities would be available, but I wanted to be prepared, vetted, and ready when they were to apply myself for those roles. My credentials, like in Luana's message I heard from you all, helped each team I've applied for establish trust in choosing me to join their team. Now, I want to reinforce that the credential itself isn't the destination. It's the growth during the process that is the real value. Over my professional career, several people invested in me. I'm grateful for them. I'm thankful for them. And those opportunities prepared me for my current role because I stay curious and I keep pushing myself. So, how do credentials elevate teams? Remember, growth doesn't stop once you've earned a credential. Great arborists evolve with new research, technology, safety practices, climate changes, and community expectations. And yes, you are checking a box once you achieve a credential, but it doesn't mean that you've reached the finish line and it's the end. It's the beginning of maintaining that credential forever. Credentials build stronger teams, they reduce risk, increase competency, and they improve decision making under pressure. They help staff become trusted subject experts, speeding up response times and strengthening public confidence in their decisions. Credentials create a culture of pride, expertise, and continued commitment of improvement, like Luana mentioned. So there are some challenges, and I want to explain why this works in my situation. And I want to be clear, I recently started with the city of Denver only about a year and a half ago. So I'm still new to the position, still learning how we operate internally. I'm not sharing a screen yet. Thank you for that, but I'll get to it. But again, when I arrived in Denver, I had a question about what is our credential policy. So I discovered we have a training matrix, which I'll share with you here soon. But it was full of roadblocks and obstacles and not pathways for my staff or opportunities for growth for them to grow internally. Again, that roadmap that Leslie mentioned, Luana mentioned, we all have our own. So when I'm looking at our internal training matrix, it only allowed staff to get to a certain platform, and then it was limiting. It was even financially limiting. We held our staff responsible for paying for their own credentials earlier. I don't agree with that. I feel like that's a business expense that we need to be responsible for, and that helps take that burden, that roadblock of preventing someone from obtaining a credential. So now we cover that expense. And even some of these credentials that you'll see here in a second, those credentials weren't uniform across the board, and we held some people to certain standards, others to others. My role included had some very interesting requirements that I didn't necessarily agree with. So previously, this was an expectation for staff. I've since worked with my team to reevaluate that and change that. So I believe leading by example and setting that expectation for our team. I'm going to share with you my training matrix. Can you guys give me a thumbs up? Can you see that? It looks like a spreadsheet. Someone.
Yep, we see it.
Cool. Thank you, Carla. So if you guys look at this, there's a lot of red on there. I read this red as obstacles, challenges for my team. Again, this prevented and it created barriers for advancement. I've talked with my team, we've reevaluated this, and we've created new options. So optional options for staff. It looks something like this. So now we've got more opportunities for more staff to advance, more opportunities for them to grow personally and professionally. This is more supportive and something that I want to encourage and enable my staff to grow with, right? So you might look at this and say, how does that apply? Well, here's an example. If you take my inspections team's basically evaluated all these credentials and created what we have a preference for internally. And again, this may be unique for your organization, your team, your department. I don't know how you're run, but internally, my inspections team, we ask that if you are going to achieve one credential, you start with that certified arborist. Next, we really want to encourage you to get your track qualification. That's important to us. You're making hazardous decisions, observations on the street for our public, for our safety, and you should be qualified to do that. Then we want to support you in getting your urban forest professional. And then after that, BCMA. So again, this was our route. These were the tools that we created internally. This is something that my team made a priority for, and this is what we follow. Doesn't mean it's fit for everyone. Doesn't mean it's fit it just means it's fit for us for the time being. So why does this work matter? When one person steps up, other people follow. A good example is when I earned my certified urban forestry professional, and then track 3.0, and then PPQ, and then my BCMA. Staff within my organization who've been here longer than I've been alive, all of a sudden started studying for those credentials themselves. So my change inspired and motivated them to challenge themselves to get their own credentials. So some of you work in government and know that advancement is rare. New positions are limited and often open when someone retires or leaves, right? This year, 0 City of Denver employees are receiving merit increases or raises because of our limited budget. That means nobody's getting a raise. So we evaluated it internally and said, hey, we still have an education training budget. Let's invest in ourselves. So we've made it a mission with my team to invest in everyone by providing certifications, licenses, trainings, and more time to study during work hours. So we're investing in people directly, which supports retention. Staff stay here when they know that their organization is committed to their growth. Career development, I believe career development should not depend on job openings or budget cycles. You deserve opportunities to grow no matter what. Now, I want to address a quick question that I often get when people ask me about credentials. I often hear, what if we invest in someone and they leave? We just spent all that time and money on those individuals and they're gone. My answer, good. We helped create a stronger industry expert. And organizations that invest in people are the ones that top talent want to work for. This builds trust, reputation, and a strong forestry community. We are developing the people who will lead this profession. And some of those future leaders might be in this webinar now. So in closing, as leaders, I believe we must create workplaces where people see their potential clarity. In Denver, we expose all staff to the bigger picture of urban forestry and show them there are many paths forward. And as a result, when employees see that pathway, they stay engaged, motivated, and invested. I encourage you all to stay curious, invest in yourself, and take every opportunity you can to support that journey. Check out Luana's career roadmap and really advocate for yourself. What a great tool and resource. If I can leave you guys with one thing, I would ask, just listen to this. The future of urban forestry is shaped by those we invest in now. A single opportunity can change someone's entire trajectory. And your responsibility as leaders is to create those opportunities for everyone else. Thank you.
Wow, Luke, I don't know if I can end. I we should just end it right now. Like you have dropped the mic there. That's so awesome. I appreciate that perspective, Luke and Luana. And I will really reiterate that roadmap tool from Luana. Great for yourself, but if you're leading a team like Luke is, give it to your team members and say, you make this for yourself. Where do you want to take your work? In Luke's case, like you mentioned, City of Denver, there is no opportunity for pay raises at this time. So how can you invest in your staff? So showing them you invest in their professional development is at least a little bit of a carrot we can offer in these maybe tough budget times, especially in a city perspective, maybe at a nonprofit as well. As we start approaching the top of the hour, if you have questions for Luana or Luke, please use the chat feature or the Q&A feature, and we'll get those asked here or read the chats in that way. So please drop your questions if you have any. And Luke, I was reflecting as you were giving your background. I guess I should have started my own journey a little bit too, just to help frame that. I have a marketing degree, a business degree, and I found myself at a nonprofit working with trees. I was like, yeah, I like trees. Like, who doesn't? I'll go work at this nonprofit. And in the course of my career there, I learned a lot about urban forestry, just trees in general. And then I applied for a city forester degree, or sorry, city forester position that required certified arborists before you could even apply. I think that that was actually a mistake. They meant to put it within 6 months, but it forced me to go out and get my certified arborist. I paid for it myself. It was $200+ because I didn't want to tell my employer that I was doing it. So I paid for it out of my own pocket to make sure I was prepped for that. Unfortunately, did not get the position, but I still kept investing in kept my CEUs up, and now I find myself here helping lead many people who are leading their city forester work. And having that certified arborist knowledge has helped me relate to their work and helps me understand a little bit more. So I think your career paths can go lots of different ways, and I think just wanted to share that the nonprofit route, and maybe you're not practicing this work every day, but it helps support those around you. Luke and Luana, I just wanted to go a little bit deeper into that idea of pay raises for credentialing or qualifications. So, Luke, you've already shared. Luana, before we started, I had asked you that same question. UCFS has a membership hub where members get on and ask one another questions, and somebody had recently asked about that. Are you tying percent pay raises to your employees for receiving credentials? Luana, you had shared a little bit. You said you heard that more about the commercial side. Could you share more here about how you've seen that come up?
Sure, Leslie. And as you can imagine, as a certification body, we are in close contact with employers and practitioners. That's how we develop the program. So we are aware, especially in the commercial sector, that the credentials are tied to a career development plan. So when they earn a credential, especially I would say the larger employers, when they learn a credential, or they earn a credential, there is usually a raise associated with that. One resource, and sorry, Leslie, that might surprise you, but it just occurred to me as you're asking the question a second time. Another resource that we have that employers look and employees look is when you go to, and I'm happy to share this in the chat too. When you go to one of our digital badge provider credentials, and again, this is third-party information. This is not information that ISA compiles. This is compiled and crowdsourced by people that have the requirement for somebody to be a certified arborist for the job, and they post this so you can see the average salary for the different credential holders. So that's something we're starting to see through this digital badge provider. Now they're offering also personalized career insights. So that's something I wanted to share for those of you who are already ISA credential holders or who are planning. That is a point of conversation, I would say, for you definitely to look at. So I encourage, and I'll put the link to, so if you want to see for the different credentials, you just have to click and navigate for
That's really great, Luana. Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Luke, when you put together that new matrix, did you involve your staff? Did you have pushback? What was their feedback to you once that was finalized?
I did. Yeah, I involved my direct reports. I've got about 5 managers that report directly to me, and several of those individuals have been here for decades. One of them, this was actually his only career he's ever had outside of college, and he's been here almost longer than I've been alive. So he was one that was very old school and what he believed, and there's nothing wrong with that, but he felt that there was a lot of accountability on the individual to do this on their own. And I looked at it with, the lens of this is a barrier that's preventing these individuals from being willing to even try, right? And not just the financial aspect of it, that they were responsible for paying for it up front and that we would reimburse
Mhm.
them. I know how much, some of these staff make. I think that's a big commitment to ask. I didn't feel that was appropriate. And that's why we made some of those changes. And then even one of the other changes that, they felt strongly about was, well, what if they fail? What if staff take this new credential and they're not successful? It happens. Um, they didn't want to financially support them and trying again. And again, that didn't sit well with me. I didn't feel that that was an appropriate response. That, you know, I looked at them and I put the onus on them and I said, as managers, supervisors, I expect you guys to work with your staff and prepare them so that they're successful when they do apply for this test or go for that credential, so that we're not setting them up for failure, but we're setting them up for success so that we don't have to worry about that, if or when they fail conversation. So
Yeah.
I did get a lot of pushback. I think a lot of it was financially driven. They thought this was a huge expense, but my team, my staff internally, my program, we attend a ton of webinars, a ton of conferences, a ton of expos. Our financial budget for that isn't as much as I think people expect it to be. And that's where I made the point that, really we're investing in the staff by helping support them get that next step.
Thanks, Luke. That's really great to hear. That's actually part of our accreditation standard. One is how many credentialed staff do you have and which credentials do they hold? You get points for that. And then the employer investing in them to keep up on their CEUs is another point you can achieve. So just reiterating that that is a standard cities should be meeting. And if your city's not, this is a way for you to help benchmark yourself to get to that point. Luana, we had a couple of questions as we get to the top of the hour about the certified urban forest professional and what has changed from the switch from municipal specialist to where it is now. And then a question about what people can do to prepare for that exam. And I can help answer that one too, but I'll leave it with you first if you feel like you can answer that.
Yes, I do, and thank you for asking. Yeah, so and then I will share another site. So I'm gonna navigate to our website because I'll share some other resources that usually get overlooked by applicants and candidates, and they're really important resources. So if you are in ISA's website, just navigate to credentials, types of credentials, and we have these like right here because we believe they're so important. So look for the program guide. I would say that's step number one. Look for the program guide for the credential you're interested in. So in this case, we're going to go to the Urban Forest Professional one. Bear with me as things load a little bit more slowly on Teams. There we go. And I would say one of the biggest changes that the program saw was on the eligibility side for the program. And the Credentialing Council did not take this lightly. Leslie and UCFS was part of the conversation when we made this change. And, it took, like, I would say over 12 months, probably we're talking 18 months of multiple conversations from the council and looking at it, you know, how the eligibility needed to change for the program. And one of the main things is that, and in fact, this was kind of a driver even for the rebrand for the name, because the program used to be called ISA Certified Arborist Municipal Specialist. And now it's Urban Forest Professional because we had to, and the idea was to separate it from the ISA Certified Arborist program. Does that mean this is not an important program? Absolutely not. It's still, if you are today an ISA certified arborist, you're already eligible for the program. In fact, if you are and you log in the system, you should know that you're eligible for the program. If you're not a certified arborist though, you can still earn the credential. And what you need to have is 3 years of experience in the field managing the establishment and maintenance of urban trees. We're going to look for that eligibility and experience, or have a combination of education and practical experience. So if you do not have 3 years, but you have a formal degree in the field, and 1 year of experience, it's very similar to the eligibility for certified arborists, then you are eligible for the program. So I invite you to, again, look at this document because it's one of the main documents for those interested in the program. The second part of the question was about preparation. And as I explained, I cannot say or connect any kind of prep program. This is really up to the individual. I would say to customize a program for them, for the candidate. Where I would say that you should, and that's one of the biggest resources sometimes that people overlook, is our, and I'll put the link here, it's our examination outline. This as a candidate for the program. So as a candidate, what does the word candidate means? It means you already submitted your application, you're eligible. So now you're no longer an applicant. First you're an applicant, then you're a candidate. So when you're a candidate, this is going to be the most important document for you, and it should be really a roadmap. So you can see this is a 14-page document, but use it really as guidance. When you go and you look at a task, you say, do I have a lot of experience on that task? Do I dominate the task? Look at the knowledge and skills. And if you check off and you say, you know what, I have a lot of experience, I'm not uncertain. I know I have a lot of experience. I've been doing this. Maybe you should go to the next one. And then you identify what are the knowledge gap for you, and then you prepare a plan for the exam that it's based on your knowledge gaps and where do you see that you need to prepare the most. That it's not going to be something that's customized that might not really fit your needs. So I would say this should be the first stop shop once you become a candidate.
Thanks, Luana. Appreciate that. Well, we are at the little over the top of the hour. I just want to point out a few things. We have the CEU code in the chat. If you are seeking ISA CEUs, fill that out. We will submit on your behalf. Carla has also posted feedback survey for you. We'd love to hear from you and if we're meeting your goals for our webinars. I see a couple of chats here. We might get to those here if Luana can stay on a few more minutes. But I did want to mention that UCFS offers prep courses and a study group for Certified Urban Forest Professional. We just wrapped our last one, and we're in the process right now of thinking through what our next offerings are going to be for folks. But stick with UCFS because we are passionate about helping make sure people achieve their Certified Urban Forest Professional, and we want to help make sure that you have the tools to achieve your, hopefully pass when you go sit for that exam. Luana, do you have a few more minutes? We had a couple of questions.
Yes, I
Okay.
can definitely hang in. I was looking at the questions.
Okay.
Well, and happy to say.
Yeah, if you need to drop, feel free to drop. We're going to answer those questions. The CEU link is in the chat. Carla can repost that here for you, and we will submit on your behalf. Luana, we had a question about SAF, Urban Forest Credential, and ISAs, and if there was any pushback, or how are the two groups working together, or are they not? What does that look like when we come to credentialing?
That's a hard one to answer, Leslie. And it's not that we haven't gotten this question before. We have gotten. The problem is, and I'll say, I am not very familiar with that program. So I feel as much as I can talk about ISA's program because that's what we worked on. I know the ins and outs. I don't know the requirements. So I'm not in a fair position to compare both programs. I really think it's up to the professional to really do the research and like that worksheet I gave, look at the requirements of each program and look at the credibility and what each program give in terms of what is measured in the program and the longevity, how you're going to sustain that program and really find out what's the best for you. But I wouldn't be able or be in the best position to compare both.
Right.
And Luke has his hand raised.
Yeah, thank you. I can help answer that question. I've taken both, and from my perspective, the SAF version is more focused on like the technical applications. What I mean by that, it was very more broad based. I remember there was like a lot of wildfire questions when I took it, and that was kind of a new subject for me. It wasn't something that I wasn't aware of, but it was a new topic that I had to kind of familiarize myself with. And I remember there being lots of questions on that. Whereas the ISA one was much more community based. It was much more, I think, applicable for what me as a city forester is responsible for. There's more community engagement, more budgeting questions, more how do you handle, constituents and like the political side of things. Where again, the SAF one was more technical definition based. I don't know if that's since changed. I originally took the first round of that and was successful in passing, but I think between the two, there was there was a difference for sure. You could tell, and again, I think the ISA is much more um, relative again to what my role is now, whereas the SAF one is more broad based
Okay.
from
I
my
appreciate that, Luke.
perspective.
Yeah, that's great to have the perspective of someone who's doing this job every day and someone who's sat for both exams. Appreciate that, Luke. Well, I see a question about mentors. Luana mentioned mentorship several times. Um, I will mention that if you're a member of UCFS, we have a mentorship program. So members are able to get matched we have a kind of a bespoke program where you apply and we help match you with someone specific that we think can really help answer the questions you have, will help guide you in that specific area that you need. And then we also have a quick match tool as well. So you would log into the membership hub and you would say, I need help with resume building, or I have an interview coming up and I want to talk to someone in a nonprofit role. You'd click those on and it would pop up several people who could fit that criteria. Beyond that, if you have a specific question about mentorship or you really need some help connecting with someone, just reach out to me or Carla and we'll help connect you. I think with that, we better wrap for today. Appreciate your time and the great conversation. Thank you, Luana and Luke. We are very passionate about having people more credentialed. This helps elevate our profession and our industry. You heard why from Luana and you heard from direct experience from Luke. So thanks for you helping to raise the profile of our profession as well by being credentialed and helping support those around you. Luana, do you have one more thing before we wrap?
Yes. I don't want to forget about Marina. Marina is asking if there are any resources I recommend for nonprofit workforce development and career training programs. And Marina, first, I'm happy to connect with you on LinkedIn. So, if you search me up, Luana Vargas on LinkedIn, ISA, you should be able to find me, and happy to connect. But I would say some key things here: work with employers first. Sometimes I see a lot of programs that they develop their curriculum and then they start talking to their employer. But I would say talk to the employer first and then work on the curriculum. And then the other thing, tie to an industry credential. That's something that even as per standards for these kinds of apprenticeship programs, they require. When you look at ANSI National Accreditation Board accreditation, so tie it. But the importance on that is because then the apprentice or whoever went through, they usually stay in the profession if they have a credential that they can carry with them at the end of the program. But then also think about other work-based learning opportunities, as you work with the employers. That's why I so recommend connecting with the employers, the first step. And then thinking about, Leslie mentioned mentoring. On those kinds of workforce development, mentoring is huge. So thinking about how you're going to have mentoring, and think about providing also wraparound services and connection to other credentials, other skills. Don't oversee communication, language skills, wraparound services, think about transportation. So anyway, I'm happy to, American Forest is also doing some great work on that side, and they have a group that you can connect. I'm sure UCFS also has a lot of resources for people developing that and perhaps tying to their accreditation program. But anyway, hope that's helpful, and happy to connect at another time with you if you want to learn more. Sorry, thank you, Leslie.
Luana. Yeah. Well, thanks again, everybody. We will wrap and we'll look to see you next month. Bye, everybody.